So we've had a mad weekend with red cards, wonder goals, outrageous results, and along with that, it's transfer deadline day. We have got a lot to talk about in this championship video. What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Unfortunately, I do have to record this on the Sunday evening. I really wanted to record this on transfer day to update you on thoughts that are happening in transfer deadline day. As of now, the latest news I've heard is a massive U-turn with the Ben Davies transfer. We heard that Ben Davies was signing a pre-contract with Celtic where he'll join next season, but looks like Liverpool have accepted a £2 million bid for him. A fantastic opportunity for Ben Davies. I think he should definitely go and take it. He could definitely be a starter in that back line. Looks like Sepp van der Berg is going to go the other way and join Preston North End. Intrigued to see how he gets on. But moving on to this weekend's football, if you got a correct score, your comment will be on the screen right now. A couple of you did get a correct score. Fair play to any of you that managed to get a correct score. I managed to get 2 correct scores, 1 Championship and 1 Premier League one. I managed to get the Cardiff and Millwall game spot on, which ended 1-1. And I got the West Ham and Liverpool game right, which ended 3-1 to Liverpool. And this is what the Lexus Hall of Fame looks like now. If you guys want to have a chance to be in the Lexus Hall of Fame and you want to get more points on the Lexus Hall of Fame, make sure you comment your midweek predictions, which we will be doing in the second half of this video today. But if you like what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like. It is tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It really made my day. With 384 subscribers last time I've checked my subscriber count, 16 more to 400. I definitely can see either next week or maybe the week after, if we can really push it, we can definitely get there. If you can really contribute to that, that'd really make my day. And please share my channel as well, or that would really be appreciated. But without any further ado, let's go through these weekend's games. So Friday's game was Reading and Bournemouth, and Reading managed to get their revenge on Bournemouth, beating them by 3-1. I mean, what's going on with Bournemouth at the moment? Bournemouth are in a really poor run of form, actually, not being able to win in their last 3 games. But Reading were absolutely brilliant in this game. They didn't have a lot of the ball, Reading. They allowed Bournemouth to still play with a lot of the ball. But going forward, Reading looks so devastating. Their first goal came from a corner. It was Elise who managed to get the corner. Bournemouth couldn't really clear it. Chris Metham just kind of had a bit of a lazy clearance, couldn't really get much control of it. McIntyre had a shot and then Josh Lawrence poked it through the net. That made it 1-0 to Reading. Tom McIntyre, who heavily helped with the first goal, actually managed to score a second goal of his own, but Begovic will be so disappointed with himself. It was from a free kick, and Begovic looks like he parried it really cheaply towards Tom McIntyre, where he just scores an easy goal and that made it 2-0. And then it got to 3-0 before halftime with Lucas João getting the goal. He managed to shift the ball on his right foot, taking it on its left, and shot with fantastic quality. That made it 3-0 to Reading. And by that time, Reading were comfortable, and Bournemouth couldn't really test Reading all that much. Reading was so good and so solid at the back. David Brooks, for me, was the only one that really looked like I had some sort of driving presence in that right-hand side. They eventually got a goal back, Bournemouth, with Stanislas scoring yet another free kick. That made it 3-1, but it was only a consolation goal in the end of it. Reading would definitely take this win. They now overtake Bournemouth in the table and are firmly in the top 6 places. Bournemouth will be feeling quite fortunate that Middlesbrough couldn't win this weekend, neither can Bristol City. So they're still relatively safe-ish in the top 6. It's going to be highly competitive this year. And then with the early Saturday's game, we saw Norwich and Middlesbrough ending in a disappointing 0-0 draw. Now, I know Norwich have not lost many games, so there's not been too many bad performances. But honestly, in terms of a live performance, it was the worst performance I've seen all season. For me, Middlesbrough, I actually feel will be quite unlucky that they didn't manage to get anything from this game. Norwich, albeit, did actually look like they created the better chances though, but there was not much goal-mouth action at all. Norwich didn't even have a single shot on target, which just speaks the volume of how Middlesbrough were really tight at the back. The big talking point is probably going to be Emiliano Buendia's second yellow card, resulting to a red. Buendia's second red card this season. The first yellow card was justified. The second one, bit unfortunate for the fact he did go down, but he did stand up into the follow-up onto the foul. So he clearly lost control in this challenge, but unfortunately it was on 2 yellows, which is going to form a red card, which can be a real blow for Norwich. Middlesbrough were taken away point, but they could feel a bit disappointed for the fact they did have around 20 minutes with an extra man on the field as well. So for Tellens versus the Landlords Part 2 ended in another draw, but 1-1. And we saw the more goal-mouth action that we did in the reverse fixture, which of course ended 0-0. Birmingham took the lead in this game. It was some fantastic play by Ivan Sanchez managing to get past Sam McCullum into the box. Sam McCullum just had a lounging leg, taking Sanchez down. It was a stonewall penalty. Jeremy Bella stepping up. He scores a very powerful penalty that made it 1-0 to Birmingham. However, Coventry respond pretty well, and it's a fantastic team goal actually. Maxime Biamou does a pretty good through ball. Callum O'Hare does incredibly well to keep it onto the pitch. He gets it to Ben Sheaf, and he has to muscle past Adam Clayton. He then finds Gustavo O'Hare with a load of space, shoots it, and it's a powerful drive past Neil Etheridge, and that made it 1-1. Unfortunately, in terms of chances, there weren't too many clear-cut chances after that. Both keepers had to make some pretty comfortable-ish saves, but in terms of the stats go, if you notice, pretty close actually. 13 shots matches 13 shots, and 3 shots on target matches 3 shots on target. It was a very even game overall, but I think a draw was the fair result. Birmingham find themselves in 20th place, a matter of points above the likes of Derby, who had a fantastic result this weekend. Coventry in or around 17th place, having a fantastic season in my opinion. And then we saw Blackburn edge a very narrow 1-0 victory, and it was a huge day for Stuart Downing naturally, who made his 650th career appearance. And I tell you what, he was important in that first half. Panzu for Luton had a fantastic chance where it was practically 1-on-1, but Downing with a defensive clearance managing to stop him pull the trigger. It was really a fantastic defensive and actual overall performance by Stuart Downing. Blackburn had a couple of chances. Tyrese Dolan had a notable opportunity as well, and it looked like it was going to be a very frustrating 0-0 draw actually, where both sides looked pretty good going forward and keeping the ball very well, but it looks like attacking wise it was neither going to be their days. But it was Blackburn's day. They managed to get a goal, Sam Gallagher managing to win a header, and he wins it to Adam Armstrong, who heads his header into the net. That made it 1-0 to Blackburn. But Luton, with a very controversial equaliser disallowed. Blackburn struggled to deal with a free kick in the final few minutes of the game. It just bounces in or around the line. Barry Douglas manages to clear it, but Cornick managed to just smash it in the roof of the net, but apparently he was in an offside position. So a very controversial equaliser denied by Luton Town. And it's such a shame because Luton, I felt, apart from that lapse of concentration when Blackburn got their goal, defensively they were fantastic, and they got themselves into some fantastic one-on-one situations and managed to have some fantastic passages of play. I thought Dewsbury Hall was also very good. Pelly Roddick was another notable good player for Luton as well. But for Blackburn, it's a fantastic result for them, following a load of sides around them failed to win this weekend. This brings 4 away defeats and 5 for Luton Town, so definitely away from home Luton need to improve, although if I'm going to be honest, their performances don't really suggest that. And then to a monstrous 9-goal thriller in the Brentford Community Stadiums. Brentford 7, Wycombe 2. This is the most goals I've ever had to go through in the history of my channel. I've covered a few 8-goal thrillers a couple of times, but this is going to be a first, the 9-goal thrillers. We're going to have to unpack that in the first half. Both defences weren't great really. Brentford did take the lead through Ethan Pinnock from a looping corner by Jensen. Poor defending on Wycombe's part, that made it 1-0 to Brentford. Although Wycombe got back into it, Uche Ikpeazu, with a fantastic individual effort, takes the ball, drives past 2 Brentford defenders and shoots it in the bottom right corner. It was an unbelievable solo goal on his part, that made it 1-1. But then Brentford moments later manages to make it 2-1, and this has been the biggest talking point. Is it Tony's goal or is it Tosu's goal? For me, I thought it was Tosu's goal, but I did look at sources and reports, and it's been confirmed today by the Championship that it is Ivan Toney's goal. And what this means, we'll find out later on, that it confirms that Ivan Toney has scored a hat-trick in this game. So Fosu did have 1 goal chalked off for him, unfortunately, but it was a very, very poor goal for Wycombe to concede. Also, I definitely felt should have done a lot better with Toney's shot, because he tried to save it, the deflection just kind of went just millilitres past the line before Fosu had a touch in it. That made it 2-1 to Brentford. But then Wycombe make up for it, making it 2-2 before half-time. And it's their new signing, Admiral Musquet, where Darius Charles, a former Brentford player, manages to cross the ball. Musquet with the header, that made it 2-2, and I thought we could have a serious game on in the second half. Unfortunately, within minutes of the second half, Wycombe concede 2 quick-fire goals. One from Fosu, which was a fantastic individual goal on his part. And then for the 4th goal, a bit unfortunate for Onyedinma. He tried to boot it, but Canos really was determined to get the ball, and he catches him. So that was a penalty for Brentford. Toney scores his 2nd goal. That made it 4-2 to Brentford. And then for a lot of the game, it was actually pretty quiet. Wycombe did very, very well at the back, but in the final 15 minutes, Brentford were on fire, scoring 3 quick-fire goals. One from Sergi Canos, and then 2 long looping through balls, where it was one-on-one efforts. One from Ivan Toney, and then Josh Da Silva with a nice, neat finish to end things off, making it 7-2. Really worrying signs for Wycombe in my opinion. I know they fought admirably in that first half, and I think the beginning of that second half was the turning point, but they couldn't get back into this game. And unfortunately, now they're 7 points adrift from 23rd place Sheffield Wednesday. They've had a good result this weekend. I do fear that Wycombe are going to be relegated. I know it's premature for me to say this now, especially they do have games in hand, more games in hand than any other side in the Championship actually. But despite from that, I just don't see where the points are going to be coming from. As with Brentford, an unbelievable performance. I did say in my last video that they were going to have a fantastic response to the way that they were robbed 3 points by a Conor Hourihane free kick. And they did so in style. Then to the One Championship score got right. Cardiff 1, Millwall 1. Another draw for Mick McCarthy. And another draw for Millwall, their 13th draw of the season. Now, this game was actually having quite a few chances in, actually. Millwall took the lead from an absolute gift. Sean Morrison does a very poor back pass. Jed Wallace nicks it. He has a very dangerous cross, and Aidan Flint tucks it into his own net. That made it 1-0 to Mill. And to be fair, Zohore had 2 fantastic chances to actually double the lead for Mill. One in particular where it was one-on-one with Alex Smithies, but Smithies makes an unbelievable save to keep him out. He could have scored against his former club, but Smithies managed to deny him there. Cardiff did look a pretty big threat from Kiefer Moore with his headers overall. Joe Walls had a chance as well. Asai Tutu and Bakuna were working really well together as well. Eventually, Cardiff got their goal, and it was from Kiefer Moore. And it was that Welsh connection. Harry Wilson brought on, through ball, found Kiefer Moore. That made it 1-1 in the end. Overall, both these sides not doing too well. Both 11 points behind the top 6, and definitely have been aspiring to get into those top 6 positions this season. So definitely both sides that are underperforming. Under Cardiff with Mick McCarthy, I'm seeing some positive signs. They've ended their losing streak. They're now being a bit more resilient. It's now 2 draws in 2 with Mick McCarthy. As soon as he can get some wins, then maybe Cardiff can progress. And then an early goal decided this game. Derby 1, Bristol City 0. And it was a Colin Kazim-Richards goal, which I tell you what, he has been such an important player for this Derby squad. His 5th goal of the season. He scored the winner for Derby against Queen's Park Rangers last game. Scored the winner for Derby against Bristol City in this game. And what a pass from Buchanan. Literally, it was a fantastic looping cross with a bit of curve on it. And then it found Kazim-Richards to hit in the roof of the net, and that made it 1-0. And honestly, Derby could have had a couple more goals. Bentley was kept very busy in goal. Marshall, who did manage to get a return from his injury, only had to make one notable save, which was from Antoine Semenyo. One player who was absolutely terrific for Derby was Graham Shinney. He was absolutely brilliant in terms of breaking up the play, creating chances. He was that leader. It did take a bit of a sour note for Derby though, for Christian Bielik, who looks like he's got a serious injury. He had to be stretchered off in the first half, so I wish him a speedy recovery. Following this game, Derby managed to give themselves a little bit of leeway from the bottom 3. 5 points off the bottom 3 now, which is absolutely encouraging for this Derby side. As with Bristol City, they've fallen off a little bit to 9th place, so they're a couple of places below in the top 6 right now. They definitely need to try and use their game in hand, get maximum points in that, if they want to have any chance of catching Bournemouth and Middlesbrough, who are both not having good runs of form themselves. And then another 1-1 draw happened in the John Smith Stadium. Huddersfield 1, Stoke City 1, and another red card to talk about as well. Huddersfield managed to get the lead in this game. It was a fantastic goal by Pieper. It was a looping ball that Stoke couldn't really clear. They really struggled with it. Pieper was found with an abundance of space just outside the box. John Obi Mikel manages to get a deflection from his shot, and Nat took it past Angus Gunn. That made it 1-0 to Huddersfield. And Huddersfield did pretty well actually. Campbell had a few notable positions, and Naby Sarr had a header which was just wide of the goal. But Stoke managed to get something from a penalty. It was Jack Clark, who I have to say, since signing for Stoke, has been one of Stoke's best players. He drove forward, and then Naby Sarr completely just took him down. It was a penalty. It was literally a comedy of errors because Richard Keogh, the other centre-back, was the one who gave the ball away straight to Jack Clark that caused that penalty in the first place. Stephen Fletcher stood up. That made it 1-1. But Huddersfield had an abundance of chances, and it was heavily helped where Norrington Davies got a straight red card for a really dangerous challenge on Bakuna. It happened with the Stoke defence just being completely switched off. Campbell looked like he had a completely open goal, but Campbell slips over himself, Bakuna manages to nick it, and Nonty Davis made sure that Bakuna wasn't running through on goal. That resulted in with his red card. And following this, Huddersfield had a fantastic chance, cleared off the line by James McLean. They had more opportunities that were well kept off by Anger's gun. Stoke, unfortunately for them, didn't really look too threatening as soon as they were back down to 10. I think they were having the intentions that they just need to hold a point, and they did just that. Stoke are in 10th place, still winless in 11 games. They definitely need to pick up some wins as soon as they can if they want to have a chance in the top 6. Nottingham Forest and Barnsley ended in a 0-0 draw. I can't really tell you which side deserved to win it more, because in terms of playing football, I say Nottingham Forest played the better football, but they created the less opportunities because Barnsley went through an onslaught in that second half and really wanted to try and get something. But Lewis Grabban had so many fantastic opportunities. He was one-on-one in a certain moment as well. And not even hitting the target, he hits it wide of the post. I mean, what has happened to Lewis Grabban this season? There was an opportunity where Knockhart was on the right-hand side, literally squared it to Grabban where he scored, but he was in an offside position. Barnsley started to get some chances in the second half. Alex Murrah was really, really key in that. Woodrow got a fantastic opportunity in the second half where Samba made a fantastic save to keep it out, actually. It was a bit of a frustrating day for both these sides because both created some fantastic looking opportunities, but unfortunately just did not have the scoring boots in this day. Nottingham Forest will be feeling very frustrated for the fact they are 21st place, and following the teams below them have managed to win games as well. There's going to be a lot of pressure on this Nottingham Forest side. Our penultimate game sees Swansea with a 3-1 away victory against Rotherham. 3 fantastic goals for Swansea, actually. The first one from Conor Hourihane. Rotherham failed to clear off a little bit of play from Swansea. It looks like it was Roberts that started off with that dangerous play in the Rotherham box. Jamal Lowe had the ball with him as well. And then Hourihane eventually, with him completely unmarked, managed to strike a clean ball past the reach of Blackburn. That made it 1-0. And Blackburn made a fantastic save from Jamal Lowe. From the resulting corner, he punched it away. And Matt Grimes with a really clean strike on the bottom left-hand side of the goal. And that made it 2-0 to Swansea. Rotherham did test Swansea a couple of times, but unfortunately, they just didn't create too many clear-cut opportunities and didn't really test Woodman until they did manage to get their one goal. It's from a long throw from Wes Harding in that second half. Swansea couldn't deal with it, and Freddie Ladapo managed to get the header before anyone. That made it 2-1 to Rotherham, so Rotherham had a slight chance that they could have gone back into this game. But Swansea made it a comprehensive win where it was Jay Fulton with the third goal. Bidwell managing to run really far into that left-hand side, giving it to Fulton with a very simple goal that made it 3-1 to Swansea. This win really strengthens Swansea's chances of being in the top 2. It gives them a little bit of space from the top 6. And it closes the gap on Norwich as well. So very interesting developments going on in the top of the table as well. It's a poor defeat for Rotherham. They were in their best run of form, 3 games unbeaten, but now they've got to make their games in hand count. They could definitely try and take Nottingham Forest's position, but if they don't, then I think Rotherham are going to be running out of chances very thick and fast. And then finally, Sheffield Wednesday got a huge win in their task to avoid relegation with a 1-0 victory over Preston North End. A lot of us have been on Preston North End following the transfers that have been going around in that club. Daniel Fisher has practically confirmed that he's in Middlesbrough now. Ben Pearson obviously leaving Bournemouth. And now Ben Davies, with all of these rumours, going to Liverpool, agreeing with a fee of £2 million. But Preston just really were under par in this game. Apart from Ben Whiteman and potentially Brad Potts in that second half, no one tested Kieran Westwood. And the unlucky goal scorer in this game was Liam Palmer. The guy who had not scored a goal in 9 years of football has scored a goal, and a simple enough goal. It was from a throw-in from Callum Patterson. Kachunga managed to win the header, and Palmer tapped it in from Kachunga's header. That made it 1-0. Very poor defending on Preston's part that no one closed him down. For a guy that's not scored in 9 years to go through a defence like that, you know, is quite embarrassing, unfortunately, in my opinion. Preston just did not do enough. They did played a better football in my opinion, but Sheffield Wednesday did really well at the back, and it's now 4 home wins in a row for Sheffield Wednesday, so they're doing incredibly well at home at the moment. If they can continue that fantastic home record, I have no doubt in my mind that they can definitely have the capability of surviving in the Championship. As for Preston, of course, they've lost a lot of their players. They are gaining a couple of players, but they're losing some key first 11 players. They'll be lifted for the fact they managed to sign Daniel Johnson and extend his contract a little bit, but apart from that, it's been a pretty bad weekend in terms of transfer for Preston North End. So that's my reaction for this weekend's Championship football. On the left-hand side is the current Championship table after Matchday 27. Norwich and Swansea still in the top 2. Norwich, not quite ahead as they were. Of course, Swansea have closed that gap a little bit, so it's going to be very interesting what goes on in the top two. Then for top six, it's going to remain the same. We've got Brentford, Watford, Reading and Bournemouth stalling a little bit, only a couple of points above the challengers, which are Middlesbrough, Blackburn, Bristol City, and then Stoke, Preston and Barnsley making up the top half of the table. Then you've got Luton, Huddersfield, Cardiff and Millwall making up the bottom half of the table. Then you've got the sides in danger, Coventry, Derby, Queensborough Rangers, Birmingham and Nottingham Forest, and the bottom three, which has stayed the same, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Wycombe. Wycombe now 7 points adrift from 23rd place, Sheffield Wednesday. Not good signs for them. But before I go through my midweek predictions, I'm going to go through my player of the weekend, goal of the weekend, and result of the weekend. So player of the weekend for me is going to go to Ivan Toney, getting his 3 goals, his hat-trick for the game for Brentford. That's going to be my player of the weekend. Result of the weekend, there's no question about it. Brentford 7, Watford 2 is going to be my result of the weekend. Goal of the weekend's a bit more tricky to decide, but I'm going to give it to Matt Grimes' very clean strike against Rotherham, although Ipezu's goal against Brentford gets a very close second, but my goal of the weekend is to Matt Grimes. So that's everything to talk about. Now it's to the midweek predictions. We've got some Premier League games and we've got a handful of Championship games. As always, if you want to have a point on Leicester Hall of Fame and you want your comments included, comment your midweek predictions in the comments down below so you have a chance to be included in the next video and you get a point to the Leicester Hall of Fame. But without any further ado, let's start predicting those games. Millwall versus Norwich first. It's ended as a 0-0 draw in the reverse fixture. I'm actually going to say 2-1 victory to Norwich. 3 of their last 4 away games has ended 2-1 to Norwich. So I'm actually going to predict that it'll end 2-1 to Norwich. Bournemouth, Sheffield Wednesday, 1-1 maybe. Sheffield Wednesday have not been doing well away from home, but I actually think they may get a point in this game. Coventry and Forest, I'm a bit scared that this is going to be a bit of a boring game. I'm actually going to say 0-0 for that game. Rotherham and Derby, I can only see 1 goal within it, and I might just edge Derby. I think I'm a bit more confident with them, although it could be the opposing team either, because Rotherham played against Derby very recently and they snatched a 1-0 victory. They can easily do the same, but I think Derby will get revenge. I'm going to say 1-0 Derby. Then we've got Wycombe and Birmingham. I'm going to say Birmingham may just edge this. Birmingham have been doing pretty well away from home. I'm going to say 2-1 to Birmingham. And then for Wednesday's game, Brentford and Bristol City. Still yet to play against each other this season. But I'm going to say 2-1 to Brentford. Now we've got the Premier League games. So we've got Wolves and Arsenal. I'm going to say 2-0 Arsenal. I think they'll be comfortable. Sheffield United, West Brom. That's a big game for both of these sides. It's the bottom 2 going up against each other. And I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-1 away victory to West Brom. If they do get a victory, it could potentially be the start of their rival. Although Brighton just beating Tottenham Hotspur could definitely put their season in jeopardy. Then we've got Manchester United and Southampton. I'm going to say 2-1 Manchester United. Newcastle and Crystal Palace. I'm going to say a 1-1 draw. Can't really separate them. Burnley and Manchester City. They were poor against Chelsea and I think they'll be poor in this game as well. I'm going to say 3-0 Manchester City. Fulham and Leicester. Fulham managed to beat Leicester last time, but I'm going to say Leicester will get their revenge. I'm going to say 2-1 Leicester. Leeds and Everton. I see plenty of goals in this game. I'm going to say 3-2 Everton. Aston Villa, West Ham. I'm going to say 2-1 to Aston Villa. I think they'll win the Claret Derby. Liverpool, Brighton. Brighton have a fantastic victory against Spurs, but I think Liverpool will be a bridge too far. I'm going to say 3-0 Liverpool. And then finally, Tottenham and Chelsea. I'm going to say this will be a 0-0 draw, actually. I think both sides will be a little bit below the pace. But that wraps it up for my reaction today. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you do give this video a like. It's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done so, please subscribe to the channel. It'd really make my day. Let's push to 400 subscribers as soon as we can. And please share my channel. All of that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you're on the end of this video. And as always, take care, guys.